not just the life that you live in your physical body from birthday to death day. Your life is the life that you send forward when your body is laid down. Old preacher said, I'm talking about a real live preacher. I talk to him, and I'm trying to draw from him. I say, well, what's the main thing you attribute to your success? That's what I get from successful people. He said, when I replaced the preacher that was before me, he told me, he said, son, remember this. Your job is not to complete the task. It's just to move the line. If you found the line here, just make sure it's a little further than it was when you found it. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah. Thank you, Shuaibe, for that excellent presentation. Again, to everyone, Ramadan Mubarak. Have you enjoyed yourself this weekend at Masjid Warathadim Muhammad? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We want to thank everyone for making a contribution this weekend. And if we're going to name a masjid after the most significant thinker in America, shouldn't that masjid be dignified?
Yes.
We don't want to name a masjid Warathadim Muhammad and the roof is leaking and the toilets are broke and they've been broke. How many times have we had a masjid and you put the out of order sign on the door and it stays on there, and around a year later it's still out of order? When this masjid was destroyed, and many of you heard the story, some of you may not. By Allah's permission, I think the most money we had ever raised was a donation from Sharif Abdul Rahim that Imam Qasim Ahmed arranged. It was a $50,000 donation. And then we had raised $20,000, $30,000 at various times. But when the masjid got destroyed, the insurance had just lapsed. It wasn't a long time that we didn't have insurance. Now, I can't speak about before I was the Imam. I don't know those details of when there was insurance, but I know there was long periods of time. Imam Talib told me there was long periods of time when there was no insurance. I know we had insurance under Imam Qasim, but Imam Talib told me, we didn't have insurance for a long time. But some people say the easiest thing to do would have been to walk away. I say the opposite. The hardest thing to do would be to walk away. Well, you may say, why? Imam Malik talked about when he was young, every morning his father would play, and you are now listening to the world broadcast of Imam W. Dean Muhammad. So we all got it right? Yes, sir. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen ar-rahmanir rahim maliki yawmiddin. Right?
Yes, sir.
So when you grow up seeing your father go to the masjid every week and he tells you, it doesn't matter if there's one person there, it doesn't matter if there's two people there, it doesn't matter if there's just chairs there.
Right.
Never give up. Don't stop the mission. Don't stop the motion. So when the leadership responsibility was passed on to us, and a masjid that was free and clear, no debt on it, anything, gets destroyed. The weight of the obligation of everyone who had committed who had made a sacrifice for this community from 1955 all the way up to 2008, the weight of all of their struggle, the weight of all of their sacrifices, the weight of all of their donations, all of that fell on us because it was under us that the masjid got destroyed beyond repair. And if we had walked away, we would have not honored the legacy of people who had for 50 years before us gave their life for this corner. And you know, it got destroyed when we were at Imam Muhammad's janazah, rahimahullah. That's when Hurricane Ike blew through. Yes. We left on that Monday. Elijah was still here. Hurricane blew here. Imam Tyree was still here. I was watching it with Paul and Imam Farouk at the Comfort Suite in Chicago. We were watching the waves blow into Galveston, Texas, and they were talking about all the storms, and the lights were knocked out in Houston for a week. Elijah came and he said, well, you know, around 1/4 of the masjid's roof has fallen to the side. And I didn't know, you know, you're like, okay, well, you know, we can just take that part off. Just, you know. So we had this Caucasian brother who was an engineer, he was an architect. And we already had plans because, you know, we were like, well, we don't want to waste the resources, so we're going to build a small musalla around 2,000 square feet, and we're going to make the old place into a community center. Although Imam Muhammad had told us to tear, under Imam Qasim's leadership, he told us to tear it down anyway. That's what he said, tear this down, build a masjid from the ground up. So, having never raised hundreds of thousands of dollars and not having insurance, something that the Imam said, we had to start living it. And that was in when your knowledge runs out, your faith comes in. When your knowledge runs out, your faith comes in. So we didn't exactly know how we were going to do it, but we knew it had to get done. Imam Faheem talked about the blockers and the people putting up roadblocks. After the masjid got destroyed, all of them left. This is a true story. Their conclusion is it was toast. As a matter of fact, one brother wrote an article, A Tale of Two Cities, about one city where the masjid got destroyed and they had insurance and they were able to recover the masjid, and there's Houston. They didn't have insurance, right? So he had already put us in Charles Darnay's novel about the French aristocracy. That's what Tale of Two Cities is, right? But you can't raise people and tell them their whole life. I'm having a real talk with you. When you all told us stuff, we believed it. I'm serious, we believed it. When Imam Muhammad said we're going to decorate the landscape of this city with mosques on West African architecture, we believed it. The last thing that came to our mind was, how that ain't never gonna happen, man. That ain't never gonna happen. We were like, okay, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to live it. So when the masjid got destroyed, we called the architect out, the engineer. He got up on his thing. He said, well, you know, Imam, how much insurance coverage do you have? Because it's going to cost you more to repair this than it is to build from the ground up. And I never forget the look on his face. I said, we don't have any insurance either. Now, when I say this, I'm not telling you to go take insurance off your masjids, because we have insurance now. and our roof got damaged. We just put a $30,000 roof on this masjid. It's only 8 years old, but the previous one got damaged by hail, and we had insurance this time. And we did an insurance claim. And if you notice, we painted it too, because that old paint was fading away. And one of the most important things to keeping a building is maintenance. If you've never had one or never properly maintained it, you don't understand it. But you brush your teeth every day, right? If you don't brush your teeth, cavities are going to form, right? You have to groom yourself. You have to shave your hair. If you don't shave your hair, if you got some, I know I'm losing mine, but if you don't shave your hair, it gets all unkempt. If you don't shave your beard, it gets all unkempt. If you don't clean your house, it gets unkempt. Same thing with a masjid. A masjid has to be painted periodically. A masjid has to have repairs. You have to walk through the property every year and identify this needs to get repaired. You have to walk the external property. You have to walk the internal property. You have to have a maintenance schedule. You have to make sure the grass is mowed every so often. You have to make sure that the grease trap is emptied every so often. You have to make sure that you check the plumbing. You have to make sure that you check the sewage. All this stuff comes with the maintenance of a masjid. And by the mercy of Allah, the lesson that we learned in 2008 made sure that regardless of what happens, we make sure that insurance is kept on the building, and we make sure that there's a maintenance, that we have a maintenance schedule so that we can keep a dignified expression. But in going through the process, we had to learn how to raise money and how to raise a lot of money and a lot of money quickly. So I remember I was reading in the history of Muhammad, praise and peace be upon him, and they were getting ready for the Battle of Tabuk, major battle with the Romans. And it says the Prophet encouraged the believers to donate. So I'm reading this, right? And it says they were hesitant, and Uthman ibn Affan put up 200 camels, $200,000. In our time. See, Yahya had to stretch our minds yesterday. I'm not going to the billions there, but he had to stretch our mind. The people weren't donating. So the Prophet implored them again. He prayed for Uthman, implored them again. Uthman put up another 200 camels. The people were still lukewarm. So the Prophet implored them again. Uthman put up another 200 camels. And so the Prophet kept imploring them to give. And every time he implored, Uthman gave. He ended up giving 900 camels, $900,000. He gave 1,000 dinar, gold, which is valued at around $500,000. And then he also donated 200 ounces of gold, which would be valued at around $250,000. So in one fundraiser, Uthman ibn Affan al-Ghani, they call him rich, he gave $1.4 million in one fundraiser. He gave $1.4 million, and he wasn't broke afterward. So after reading this, I said, okay, we have to start asking for money. If you never ask, you're not going to get it. So we went through a series of fundraisers. People were donating banquet halls. They were donating food, everything. And I never forget Imam Talib's friend, Hashim Badat. He gave $5,000 at one fundraiser. We were having another fundraiser 3 months later. I was like, okay, he said, okay, I'm going to give some more. I said, you just gave $5,000. He said, Imam, that was a different fundraiser. I had to reorient my thinking, because I'm thinking donor fatigue, and I'm being honest. I don't want to hit the well too many times. They just gave $1,000. He said, Imam, that was a complete different fundraiser. That one's over. Now I'm going to give to the new fundraiser that you're having. And so through this process, it reoriented our mind and thinking, and Allah helped us and blessed us learn how to raise money. And we raised $250,000 to build this masjid. Allahu Akbar. Then last Ramadan, we want this up next. You see this? This is Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center. Now, those of you who knew Imam Kamaluddin, you know him, but I think it's appropriate that when I moved to Houston, the thing I heard over and over again was that Imam Kamaldeen was one